music and musicians as it was in those carefree days, Paris had one song which, above all others, was unmistakably Parisian. This was the cry of the vendors at the marketplace. At daybreak, a kitchen garden opens on narrow cobbled streets freighted with history. Out of the early morning mists, some questionable characters emerge. If they are thieves, the gendarmes will be in hot pursuit, fully mechanized naturally. In the neatest trick of the week, the law is forced to take its course on foot. Where have they gone, these culprits? Are they lost in the shadows of the old streets or hiding along the quays? The city is waking up. Life stirs first on the Seine. The little boats are giving way to the larger ones, which will chug up the river as far as Suresnes. Not far away, that soaring structure, the Eiffel Tower, emerges with the day. Its detractors call it ugly, baroque, vulgar, a product of mercantile imagination. Monsieur Eiffel, builder of the tower, is not made happy by these attacks. The people, however, are on his side. They take his tower to their hearts. It amuses them, pleases them. They stand in long queues to go up in its elevators. Comforted by this, Monsieur Eiffel can smile. Monsieur Loubet, the president of France, is as aware as a politician must be of what people think. Accordingly, during the exposition, he holds official banquets in the Tower restaurant. The altitude doesn't seem to affect the appetite of the guests. The exposition attracts 51 million visitors, and 51 million visitors can't be wrong. They admire the buildings, but show special interest in Monsieur Eiffel's tower. The Third Republic, finally convinced, claims it as one of its glories. The new president is Monsieur Fallières, the embodiment of those prosperous, unfrowning years. Santa Claus could not be more cheerful. He has become the symbol of a France contented, sentimental, and perhaps a little smug. His amiability is indestructible. He welcomes, he presides, yet he is sometimes disturbed. Even at a hunt, he can whisper, "My little business in the provinces, it isn't doing too well." He returns home, then reassured because he's nothing if not an optimist, he's off again on another tour. In Tunisia, he is received, saluted, entertained. Still smiling, he is taken for something of a ride. In short, le président est bien content. Monsieur Lépine, prefect of police, is also happy, at least for a policeman. In Paris, he is opening a station for another railway, full-sized in this case. In America, it is known as the subway. In London, as the underground. In Paris, as the metro. Monsieur Lépine, with his guests, sets out on an inspection of this new kind of underworld. new subterranean realm has launched a new style of architecture, the modern or metro style, as it is called by those who regret it. Its inspiration is industry itself. Industry with its open use of steel and iron, its frank functionalism, with something, as one critic put it, of the disorder of nature thrown in. Tastes in interiors, no less than exteriors, are changing. Monsieur Majorel's innovational furniture was a sensation at the exposition. He is certain that the search for novelty need not conflict with good taste. An allegorical nude is shown, a product of the new Bronze Age. Though undeniably traditional in her contours, she symbolizes modernism. The salon leads us to manners, indeed to etiquette. Do you know how to sit down, asks Baroness de Staff, author of Advice to the Worldly. Do you know how to walk in a hobble skirt and to conserve those graceful movements which are music to men's eyes? It is up to date to offer the left hand to a female acquaintance who offers you her right. This, of course, is something ladies should never do in the presence of a gentleman. If we are among intimate friends, we can let ourselves go a little without going so far as to cross our legs in public. The same subtleties and judgment prevail in all facets of feminine existence. They dominate the sacred rites of selecting hats and hairdos. Hair, perfumed with the scent of violets or sandalwood, twisted into all shapes, these can only be achieved with the aid of experts. When you cover this elaborate handiwork with a hat and secure it with a hat pin, be careful not to injure the eyes that admire you. Any audacity is permitted, so long as you're certain it's in good taste. You could even improvise, slipping a spare handbag over your head, no matter that the bag is embroidered or edged with pearls. Another delicate subject is the choice of jewels. This also requires taste. Money, too. If, as a woman, you want to be in the height of fashion, you can drape yourself, as Marcel Prince does, in lamé, silver or gold or copper color. On the other hand, you may prefer, as does the equally famous Gabrielle Dorzia, light tules and the perfume of flowers. Or you may present, as the newest winter model, such a costume as this.
Doing a quick sound check. Check, 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 check.
These
check,
are
check.
gowns which only the great couturiers would dream of imposing upon the slaves of fashion. Sheaths of heavy black silk, cuirasses of velvet, coats of mail made of lace or jet. Capiello has immortalized the faces of the great designers. Monsieur Doyer, Jacques Doucet, Jean Worth, Caroline Raboux, Monsieur Rouff, who is so well versed in the caprices of women. But a brand new and shocking type of female, the sportswoman, is emerging. For obvious reasons, and reasons she wants to be obvious, she refuses to be imprisoned by long skirts. The public unveiling, so to speak, of the first girl in trousers creates a scandal. But women everywhere are on the march. Since they are beginning to do the work of men, it seems normal enough to have them wear masculine apparel. London has women electricians. Paris, it's women cabbies. Women are demanding a new life, new rights, too. They want liberty and equality, if not fraternity. The suffrage movement is in full swing. Mrs. Pankhurst is their leader. Her hat may not be pretty, but it's a statement of principles. Others elect to gain their ends in more feminine ways. They prefer persuasion to mass beatings. They find a sedate garden party an excellent means of weakening the stronger sex. Liberation is the slogan of the day. Liberation not only from male dictatorship, but from the restraints of that even more painful tyrant, the corset. The corset, some insist, is a Bastille. But its fall brings other problems, such as how to keep skirts, petticoats, and stockings from falling too. Women may not yet be entirely free, but at any rate they breathe more freely. Moreover, they can compare their figures partially or fully liberated from that instrument of torture which authorities now condemn in the name of health. A typical bromide of the period is, our grandmothers didn't expose their calves on bicycles, but somehow or other they stayed healthy. Another common remark is, one can't help wondering what's left for her husband. Modesty is becoming a lost art. Celebrated or unknown, the modern woman is eager to be photographed. Painted, too. Marcel Landais, for instance, the famous actress-dancer with the chalky cheeks, the white face, and the beautiful back. With her are Liane de Pougy and Caroline Otero, known as La Belle Otero. Otero is beautiful, disturbing, and disturbed, as likely to dance at noon in the garden of an admirer as she is after midnight for the diners at the Café de Paris. Cléo de Maraude is another publicized figure from the gay and lurid Bohemia of Toulouse-Lautrec. At the exposition, she does an exotic dance from the Far East. Although the purists insist it's not quite authentic, they admit it's delightful and let it and her go at that. Eccentricities become commonplace. Paul Bourget describes such sirens, saying, she arches her back, avowedly to avoid me, but really she pretends to be enraged, while actually she is embracing me with her eyes. Here's a daring new French film. About what? Love, of course, and a lover to whom a wall is no obstacle. His note sets off the desired conflagration. The rendezvous finally takes place, but moralists need not worry. Everyone will suffer. In films, plays, and novels, the dueling scene is a stock in trade. But Monsieur Wheelie, whose successful vaudeville sketches, refuses to take even love seriously. Willie is married to Colette, who is to become one of the most widely read French novelists. Interested in health, they take the country. Such exercise is not without its peril. Perhaps it would be better if there were a sign reading, "Keep off the grass." Follies, more follies. Nor is the call of the wild always responsible. Science, true or false, must bear some of the blame. Professor Richet has made hypnotism fashionable as a means of curing psychic disturbances. This doctor is obviously one of the professor's disciples. Persuades his patient to describe the dreams which have been troubling her. She is and schizophrenic desire for revenge. At least it can be said of Professor Richet's follower that he doesn't drag out his cures. Having put her to sleep, he wakes her in a hurry. In a miraculously short time, he has solved her deep-rooted conflict. Professor Coué has a simpler cure. Even America knows he's every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. The French version is every day and every night, I'm getting better and better. Many husbands have their wives photographed while asleep. Another fad, women have themselves vaccinated in public. This is also a man's town. Safe from intruding females, they find one way of exercising without effort. Others discuss the latest books or sporting events. Boni de Castellan, husband of Anna Gould. Robert de Montesquieu, whose oddities Proust transcribed. Pierre Louis. Oscar Wilde, after his imprisonment, still perfumed and idolized. De Max, the venerated tragedian. Marcel Proust, novelist extraordinary. He is brilliantly at work recording the social scene around him. As the century advances, it becomes clear that the Paris of M. Proust is changing as well as the France of M. Fallières. The allure of the ladies who promenade in the Bois is no longer quite the same. Their gait is less languid. They not only want to see, they want to be seen. With the coming of May, everything turns white. White for linens, embroideries, starched blouses, knots of ribbon and flowers. The season of carnivals, races, and athletic contests has arrived. With the white season come the red-blooded devotees of sport. The winner of this cross-country military race is Jean Bouin. Georges Carpentier is a hopeful novice of whom great things are expected. An important international conflict. Football. England against France. The modern sportsman, dynamic, intrepid. Riviere, a champion cyclist, invents the chainless bicycle. Automobilists try constantly to beat their own records. Racers dream of doing 45 miles an hour. Others dream of conquering the air. The Count Lavaux, a leading aeronaut about to make a balloon ascension, speaks a few words on the future of dirigibles.
The Duchess d'Uzès is more down to earth in her sporting tastes, being a huntress both of foxes and celebrities.
Oops. It looks like the software just crashed. Hold on a second. I might have run out of drive space. Hold on. That was kind of ludicrous. What happened? Oh yeah. Yeah, I totally ran out of drive space. That's funny. I'll just transition over. What time is it? It's got 9 minutes. Yeah, so I ran out of drive space because I'm capturing as I go, and so yeah, I need to go through and erase some things that have been building up. One second, please. It's not really going to buy me enough. Hold on. So, anyways, sorry about that. Hi, here I am. I'm using a new piece of equipment. Well, in the streaming process, traditionally I was using a flash scan, which is great, but it's standard definition, and I had some opportunities yesterday to goof around with some cabling, and I was told that I could do a live output from a Blackmagic Syntel, so I was like, well, I'm going to try it. So I gave it some experiment yesterday, and it worked pretty great. So, but I ran out of drive space because I was capturing that film, and so it went away. So I'm going to reboot the software. Yeah, that was definitely a weird gotcha, and that might impact if I do this again in the future. All right, I got a terabyte left. So, just so you can see, I don't want to knock anything off any shelves or anything. So this is the scanner. I'll give people another look when it turns 8 o'clock, but this is the scanner. And so, yes. Anywho, yeah. It's pretty funny. I don't know if you were watching it and suddenly everything like slowed down. Yeah, it basically what's happening is the computer's like, I'm running out of drive space. And then it's like, I ran out of drive space and I'm going to crash. And so that's what happened. So give me a second to bring this up. That's one of the things we do here at AV Geeks is we always talk about straddling more than 100 years of technology. So we go from film, which is 100 years old, to brand new technology, which is 5 years old. So we span this incredible gap, which means that there's all sorts of things that can happen. Okay, so I'll transition back. So this is using the let me actually pop this out. I'm just going to rewind this because we're going to start the show very soon. This uses a Blackmagic Syntel scanner, and oh, it has been calibrated. Oh, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and rewind it, and I'm going to try to remember to turn off the volume so that you don't, you're not deafened by it. I think this is right. Let's see what happens. We rewind. Okay. Alright, I'm going to see if I can do anything faster here. So anyways, now you're watching Paris 1990s Reel 1 in reverse. Maybe it'll be better the second time. So, some of the things you might notice that are different if you've been following these AV Geeks streaming events is you see, well, I'm using my mouse and you can't see what I'm doing with my mouse. Anyways, so you can see sprockets on the left and you can see a soundtrack on the right. This is partly on purpose and partly because it's just what I have to do. Essentially, the Blackmagic scanner has a preview output, an HDMI output that is for monitoring, for focus, and for other things. And it outputs basically what the camera's seeing for a given gauge. So this is 16 millimeter, and so this is what it's capturing. I zoomed in just a little bit, but basically, and this is scaled down. But in order to scale it up, because it's the way it's outputting this HD signal is it's really small, smaller than what I'm capturing to, and so I had to I upscaled it, and the more I upscaled it, the more pixelated it got, and so I tried to find a happy medium where it's not as pixelated, and you also get to see some of the filmic part of what I got. Which I kind of like. When I'm scanning, that's what I see. I see everything. So you can see scan lines. I mean, you can see edge codes. You can see where the frame goes. And with the flash transfer, I kind of zoomed in so that you didn't see frame lines and things like that. And this is kind of fascinating because you get to see if the film was printed more than once. You can see how crappy the frame lines are, how bad. If you think a film is jittery and you look at it and you're like, oh, well, it's printed jittery, that's why. Stuff like that. Geek out too. That's a long film. It's almost done. Yeah, the rewind. I have to figure out the rewind. Maybe, hold on. Let me figure something out. Science. I'll adjust something here. Alright, that's faster. A little bit. I don't want to get too crazy. Anyhow, I was gone for 2 months for different reasons. One is the last 2 months were super busy. Oh, it's 8 o'clock. Anyways, let's transition over. Hi, I'm Skip Elsheimer, AV Geeks. Welcome. Hopefully we have some new faces, new eyeballs out there, but I see a lot of familiar names. So thanks everybody for joining me. We're back. We were gone for 2 months. I think the last show we did was in December. And then January got super busy. I helped with a film that was actually at Sundance, so I ended up having to go to Sundance and helping with that. Had to go. Well, I went to Sundance, and it was a lot of fun. And then February just got nuts, and I just kind of ran out of time. So anyways, I'm happy to be back. And I had a free day yesterday to goof off, and whenever I can, I'm always thinking in my head, like, well, what can I do? What's a new way to experiment with what I've been doing? And I thought, well, if I'm going to come back and do, a new streaming event, it would be great to use some equipment that's new, relatively new to the archive. So this is the Blackmagic scanner. Surprisingly, it's very similar to the flash transfer that I was using in that it, it has a motor, has reels, it has tension, has capstans, and it registers where a frame is, and every time there's a frame, it takes a picture, and it just is, the camera is 4K camera versus a SD camera, which the flash transfer has. It's a bigger image, much bigger. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see. Am I showing my butt to you? Okay, I'm not. Okay. So we're gonna create a new bin. Streaming. Okay. I'm gonna call this something different. I'm gonna call it anything. Okay. So as part of this new and we're back. I'm pulling some films that we haven't watched before, and I don't have a given theme. It's just new stuff. So that I've acquired from different sources. I acquired a new collection from Queens College, lots of psychology films and such, and I'll pull a film from that. I got permission to scan some Walter J. Klein films, which is really great. Walter J. Klein was a industrial filmmaker, educational filmmaker based in North Carolina. And so I'm happy that thanks to the School of the Arts, we'll be able to show some of that stuff and scan some of it. So that's what we're going to do right now. So the film path is a little bit, I don't know, it's all horizontal versus vertical. I use this machine because I can also do 35mm on it. So maybe at some point, if this is a great experiment, then maybe I'll bust out some 35 and show that to you. I don't have a lot of 35, so it would probably be trailers and weird stuff. Oops. Although, I'm going to say this out loud because maybe you will spur me to do it. With 35, I can probably show. I can probably splice together a bunch of film strips, and that's not right. Hold on. Well, this is just not behaving right now. Right off the bat. 1 second. I have a bunch of 35mm still film strips, and maybe I could splice a bunch of them together, and we could run them via the via this machine and scan them. There we go. All right, so it's doing this. Oh, and it lost it. It's so the thing is like a lot of these machines that they use tension to move film through, and this one is just not behaving. All right, we're gonna skip this one. We're gonna jump on to another one. Just like with the flash transfer, sometimes you just can't get it to tense up because of whatever factors that are at play. We're gonna jump to another. Another film. And hopefully this machine won't misbehave enough to where I have to quickly jump to the other machine. That would be annoying. That would be very annoying. Trying to do some tension. Oh, come on, what is going on? These plastic reels are kind of misbehaving. Now it's just being annoying. Guy turned into this guy in Geeks, and he's just sitting here cursing at his scanner. Alright. Let's do a metal reel. I could bore you with the details. Essentially, it's the we're doing these on the fly, and when we actually scan them, we usually put them on cores and prep them, but this is all, you know, let's pull it out of a can and see what happens. There's basically the plastic doesn't have the tension when the lockdown is on it, and so that's how it's misbehaving. Aren't you happy you know that? Okay. $10 minutes. Wow. Okay. Here we go. How to buy groceries.
Bye. You going somewhere? I'm going to the grocery store. Can I get you something? Yeah, I got a whole list of things. Can I come along? Sure you can. Thanks. List? I think I've got it all down. Pumpkin-flavored bubble gum, the October issue of Monsters Digest. Oh, boy. 14 pounds of crunchy munchies. 14 pounds? A basketball magazine, and 2 cans of Zonker's dog food. See, they got a special on the dog food this week. You buy 2 cans, you get 15 lollipops and 8 baseball cards free.
But we don't even have a dog.
Oh, I got it all figured out. We sell the dog food to Chuck Williams for a 15% markup, and we split the profit.
Tommy.
Mom.
They may not realize it, but Tommy and his mother are following some cardinal rules for buying groceries. By planning regular shopping trips, they are saving time, fuel, and money. By including Tommy, Anne is making an investment in the future. She is doing her son and herself a favor by educating him in wise shopping techniques. By checking out supplies at home first, and by preparing a shopping list, they've organized their trip before spending any money. There are some things that Tommy has yet to learn, like the value of spending most of the food budget on pre-planned, nutritionally balanced meals. By getting to know the layout of their market, they can shop in different departments and compare different forms of the same food. Natural, unprocessed fruits and vegetables present some of the best buys in any supermarket. Learn to buy fresh produce in season to take advantage of these buys. Beans, cucumbers, and peas in the pod are at their best when they are slender and young. Cabbage heads and lettuce are better when mature and firm. In citrus fruits, smooth, thin skins mean more juice inside. Pick firm, bright bananas for immediate eating. Slightly green ones for frying or baking. For larger fruits and vegetables, sold by quantity rather than weight, pick out several, weigh them all, and buy the heaviest. Freshness is also a factor in purchasing processed foods. Open dating lets you see that you are buying freshly packed food. The sell-by date on processed meats tells you the last day it will be sold as fresh. This date allows additional storage time at home. Products with a shelf life of 1 month or less are stamped with the day and month. Products with a longer shelf life are labeled with the day, month, and year. Buying groceries isn't just a matter of saving money. It's also a matter of getting the most food value for every dollar you spend. Nutrition labeling allows you to compare products by the amount of wholesome ingredients they contain per serving. The label rates content in at least 9 vital areas: calories, carbohydrates, fat, protein, vitamins A and C, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, calcium, and iron. Use nutrition labeling to compare like products. Use it to help you find alternative sources of protein, vitamins, and minerals when one product is unusually high in price. Look for vitamin groups where they occur naturally. Vitamins A and C are naturals in fruit and vegetable products. Expect cereals and grains to be rich in B vitamins. When purchasing canned goods, buy the form which best fits your needs. Whole fruits and vegetables are good to serve as is. Pieces, chunks, slices, or pre-cut may be more economical for stews, casseroles, soups, or desserts. Canned tuna is almost always a good buy. One 6.5-ounce can supplies a day's protein for a typical adult. For further savings, think again about what form you need. Tuna flakes are cheaper than chunks or solid tuna. Nutrition labeling also can help you compare nationally advertised brands with private brands. A private brand is a product or line of products sold by a store under its own brand name. Buyers can expect to save money on these products because the producer has spent less on advertising, promotion, and new product development. To be good buys, house brands must offer dependable quality at a competitive price.
It gives you stamina.
You'll get more stamina for your money if you get the large jar.
Huh?
See these numbers?
Unit pricing helps you in two ways. It helps you decide which brand and what size to buy.
The large size costs less per ounce than the little one.
The unit price tells you how much a product sells for by the pound, by the ounce, by the quart. It also measures standard quantities by count or by square feet.
Oh, I knew that. I was just in a hurry.
For most of us, the moment of truth in a supermarket comes in front of the meat counter. The golden dollar rule in buying meat is that you don't decide what to have for dinner while standing in front of an appetizing display of fillets and T-bone steaks. Instead, arm yourself with a shopping list culled from a careful look at the week's special buys.
Nice roast today?
Consider buying large cuts of meat, especially if your butcher will cut them down for you at no extra charge.
Really good. Would you cut this in half for me?
Be glad to.
Thanks.
Look at the price per pound, but think in terms of the price per serving. 1 pound of boneless, low-fat meat will serve up to 4 people. 1 pound of spare ribs or extremely bony meat may serve only 1 person. Ask your county extension home economist for a chart to help you compare cost per pound to cost per serving in different cuts of meat. Be on the lookout for unadvertised sales of popular cuts of meat. When expensive steaks go on sale, the savings are likely to be dramatic. Find out if the surface of meat you don't see is as good as the one that's displayed. Most reputable stores will be happy to remove packaging for inspection.
I'll take it, thank you.
Poultry is an excellent change from a steady diet of meat. It is usually priced competitively and offers a substantial nutritional bonus in terms of high protein and low fat content. The best buys in chicken are usually whole chickens you cut up yourself. However, special prices on boxes of chicken make these family-sized packets a good way to buy chicken parts without fragmenting the family's budget. Planning menus helps you decide what parts to buy. Chicken breasts may be necessary for chicken Kiev or other special dishes, but wings and backs will make a fine kettle of soup. To keep your budget out of the soup, learn about egg sizes and prices. There's a 3-ounce weight difference per dozen between egg sizes on the market. Usually, there's a price difference of from 6 to 8 cents between sizes. Egg prices fluctuate from week to week. Watch to see which sizes are the best buy. Today's eggs come to the consumer still fresh from the farm. Freshness dating allows for 1 to 2 weeks home storage by the consumer. With products like milk, the form you buy will determine how much money you spend. Non-fat dry milk is perhaps the most neglected bargain in the store. It's possible to cut your family's milk bill in half by using non-fat dry milk. Nutritionally, it compares to fresh skim milk. Other dairy products, fresh milk and cheeses, are bargains when compared to their non-dairy alternatives. In fact, many nutritionists suggest that an average American family could get a better diet at a lower cost by decreasing consumption of meat, fats and oils, sugar and sweets, coffee, tea and soft drinks, and by increasing consumption of dairy products, vegetables and fruits, cereal and baked goods. In any baked goods you buy, open dating is vital to determining quality. Look for the freshness date stamped on the wrapper or label. Day-old breads offer special values, and the freshness dates on their wrappers allow plenty of time for home storage and use. Good buys to look for in the cereal aisle are dry grains like oatmeal or cracked wheat cereals. Combined with breakfast breads, cereals, fruit, and milk can make breakfast the cheapest meal of the day. Frozen foods extend the seasons. Vegetables offer the convenience of being cleaned, cut, spiced, and sauced in advance. They come packaged, ready to cook. Never buy packages that are soft or partially thawed. Also, avoid stained packages, which may have thawed previously. Household staples are another category for which advanced planning pays off in savings. Take steps to assure thrifty buying. Make an inventory of your shelves and cupboards at home. Maintain modest reserves in canned and dry goods, paper products, and household cleaning items, and health and beauty aids. Watch for special sale offers. Clip coupons on products you use or would like to try. House brands can save money on items your family uses every day. Look for them in toothpaste, baby powder, detergents, paper towels, foil wrap, coffee, and tea. In buying tea and coffee, consider the many different forms: instant, bags, loose, freeze-dried, ground, and beans. Take advantage of your supermarket's special services. Coffee ground at the checkout counter not only smells good, but it guarantees you'll have a fresh cup of coffee for tomorrow's breakfast. In the not-too-distant future, your groceries will be checked out by a computer. Price scanners will record the coded information printed on grocery labels. Your grocery tape will show you what product you've bought and how much you've paid for it. This new system won't happen overnight, but when it is installed, it promises a faster, more accurate checkout. It will be a good way for you to keep track of grocery expenses. Until that time, well, you'll just have to rely on, shall we say, less sophisticated means of bookkeeping.
Hey, I figured I helped you save about $3 today because of our careful shopping.
You certainly did, and it's a token of my esteem. Here's your commission.
Bubble gum.
Well, it's sugarless.
I would really rather have that basketball magazine.
Okay, but you just don't know what's good for you.
Thanks.
It's always a good idea to save your grocery tapes. That way, you'll know where your money's gone.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hey, I had this first. What does a girl want with a basketball magazine anyhow?
It's not for me, it's for my brother.
Hey, that's great. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Ready to go?
sure.
Come on.
All right. So we got it kind of working. Thanks for everybody's comments. Some things I'm trying to fix, like the popping audio. I think I'm blowing out. The digitizing card is freaking out a little bit. I'm going to try different things to kind of reduce that, because that used to be a problem before. What else? So yeah, somebody commented on it being zoomed out and wanting it zoomed in. So the explanation is that I'm using a piece of equipment and I'm outputting something that shows me the full frame. In fact, I could actually show you what I'm getting. Yeah. So there's the full frame right there. And so you can see things like, that's hilarious. I'm trying to use my mouse to show you, but you can't see my mouse. So you can see how it's bobbing up and down. Well, there's stabilization that's taking place that's stabilizing the image based on the sprocket holes. So you're seeing a little bit of the top frame of the frame before and a little bit of the frame after. Then you're also seeing the soundtrack to the right. Some people yesterday noticed that the soundtrack it seemed like it was off. And that's to accommodate that in a projector, the sound head is actually, I can't remember, 26 frames or something like that after the image, because that's how far the sound head is, so that to have it sync, you have to have an offset of visuals. So anyways, so yesterday I was playing around with the different sizes, and somebody said, oh, that they loved it that size. They loved it to be able to see, because if I zoom in, it starts getting pixelated. So we can try it a little bit closer in. I don't know. Is that too pixelated? Let me know. Yeah. Well, maybe it's not so bad. I can't really tell on this screen. If I look at another screen. Yeah, maybe it's not so bad. If I zoom in any further, it's just not going to look as good. So that'll probably be as close as it gets. You know, all this is an experiment today, and I might not in the future use this machine to do scanning or streaming events, because it's a big pain and it seems to be a little bit more temperamental. But yeah. So let me get back to where you can see me. So as you can see, it's rewinding. I'm going to try to move this so you can actually see. You can see the gate. It's flashing. So what's happening is every time it recognizes a frame, it flashes. The flash transfer is very similar to this. That's why they call it the flash transfer. And so when it flashes, then it goes up into this camera, and then it's hooked up to a computer that's running the software, and I'm able to scan a 2K image out of that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Oops, you got to see closer to my skin than you probably really wanted to see. All right, I love this logo. So Walter J. Klein is based in Charlotte, North Carolina. Was an ad guy who also made educational and promotional films, and he made this organization, which I can't remember the name of it, but this was his, organization of industrial filmmakers, and so we'll be watching some Walter J. Klein's. Look at that, the logo's going backwards now. But some of the things that Walter J. Klein helped create and advertise for his clients. He had a lot of North Carolina clients, so he helped create and market Chimney Rock, North Carolina, into a tourist attraction. Some of you have been to the mountains of North Carolina near Lake Lure and Bat Cave, Chimney Rock. It's quite a cool place. Let's see, what else did he do? He did Texas Pete. He started, it's made in Winston-Salem. So he helped make Texas Pete a thing. He promoted it and all that. So, pretty awesome. All right. So, oh, you know what? I don't even know if you saw. I don't even know if you saw me zooming in. I'm so sorry. Anyways, all right. So there is the gate. There's the camera. The software that I use to stream doesn't. Sometimes I get confused. There's a computer that captures it. Please bear with me. It's been a couple of months. Anyways, whenever I see Motorola Teleprogram Center, I get excited because they made a bunch of police training films, and this is kind of one of these films. It's made for general audiences, and it's kind of interesting. It's not just for police officers. I saw a little bit of it. My intern actually digitized it, but I didn't get to see it, so I'm happy to watch it with you guys. The beginning is awesome enough. I was like, all right, we got to watch this. So yes, very comparable to the other machine that I still have and I still use. I just was interested to try something new. All right, what's the name of this film? The name of the film is, can you see it? All right. It's Vehicle Ambush Counterattack. So let's suppose you're driving and you're being attacked. How do you counterattack? Vehicle ambush counterattack. And I think this one was really red, so I'm going to actually try to do some pre. There's very basic color controls when you're scanning. All right, here we go. Enjoy.
Pick up any newspaper, and you can readily see the terrorist threat is all too real. There are too many successful abductions, many of which have involved multi-million-dollar ransoms. And there are too many successful assassinations. Does the terrorist record mean all the odds are with the attacker? It's true, they have the advantages. Surveillance of the target, choice of ambush site, surprise, and firepower. It shouldn't have happened, but it has. But the target also has strengths. With training and proper mental conditioning, you can survive a terrorist ambush. You saw a small sedan stop a vehicle weighing 3 times as much. It shouldn't have happened, but it did, and has several times in the past few years in terrorist ambushes. But it won't happen to you if you're trained in offensive driving techniques. Of course, the techniques we'll demonstrate are only to be used as a last measure against kidnap and assassination attempts. But if you learn these techniques, they could save your life. One of the reasons smaller vehicles stop larger ones is chauffeur psychology. In a vehicle ambush, you must forget about the expensive car, broken headlights, dents, and smashed-in grill. To save your life or the life of another, you may have to damage your vehicle. The average American-made sedan weighs from 2 to 3 tons. In an ambush situation, this mass of steel must be considered a weapon. It's not fragile if used correctly. Drivers in stunt cars and demolition derbies have known this for years. Your car can take considerable damage and keep right on running if it is in good mechanical condition to start with, and if you know what you are doing. The right angle, proper speed, and point of impact in a vehicle collision will enable your car to run long enough for you to escape an attempted ambush. Tremendous effort goes into the planning of an ambush by terrorists. Part of knowing what to do is in knowing the threat. Have a plan of your own to counterattack, to take the terrorist by surprise. Let's examine a common form of ambush, the stationary vehicle roadblock. There's no doubt the roadblock means you've been targeted. Yes, it can happen to you. The prime offensive tactic is ramming. This is the correct sequence. Slow immediately and shift into low gear. Brake suddenly. By slowing, the ambushers will think you are surrendering. This will give you precious seconds to evaluate the actual situation and to assess your next move. Pick a point to ram on the blocking vehicle. If possible, aim at the right rear wheel area, either at the wheel or slightly to the rear of the wheel. Accelerate while aiming your right front fender at the target impact point. Build speed and accelerate straight through the blocking vehicle. Don't ease off the accelerator. Above all, don't panic and hit the brakes. And don't swerve. Drive straight through like a karate kick. Aim through and beyond the impact point. Though we are only traveling at slow speeds, the weight of the blocking car's engine will usually act as a fulcrum and spin it out of the way of the target vehicle. If the attackers are standing near the blocking car, there's a good chance they'll be injured, stunned, or so confused that they could not shoot or mount an immediate pursuit. It is not a natural act to deliberately strike another vehicle. An abnormal act, perhaps, but it must be done in an ambush situation. The momentum of your vehicle transmits the impact force to the ambushers. If your seatbelt is fastened, there's little chance for injury or even shot. The preferred ramming impact points are right rear wheel area, left rear wheel area, and, if the above are impossible, the front wheel areas. Another ambush tactic is to suddenly pull out from a side street, driveway, or an alley to block the target car. Be alert for such a maneuver and be prepared to react. Mentally drive a couple of blocks ahead all the time. Terrorists have utilized two vehicles in a rolling box maneuver to block and stop their abduction target. The untrained driver has no recourse but to stop. Counter by ramming the right front fender of suspect number 2 and the left rear fender of suspect number 1. In two-car stationary roadblocks, you must make a decision as to where to try to break through. If the high side of the road has an area to maneuver on, hit the left rear and shove suspect number 1 out of the way and into number 2. If there is no maneuvering room, ram straight down the middle. Another threat is the rolling ambush. A common terrorist technique is to pass the target vehicle on a curve. If the right front window lines up with the left rear window of the target, the gunmen will begin to pour fire into the car, raking the interior as they sweep by. Always watch for vehicles following you. Use your mirrors. Use them often. Be most suspicious of 3 people in a sedan with one in the back seat. Be cautious when a vehicle attempts to pass you, especially on a curve. If it appears there's a real threat, jam on the brakes. Immediately duck down on the seat to present as low a profile as possible. The sudden stop will cause the attackers to overshoot your car. Plus, it will drastically cut their angle and their firing time. Depending on the terrain, traffic conditions, and the attacker's position, there are several options open to you. When on a curve, go into reverse to gain the cover of the curve and break visual contact. Ram the rear of the attacking vehicle. Careful to hit at a correct angle so as not to lock up. Striking hard could neutralize the ambushers, especially if they aren't using seat belts. An escape option is the jumping of curbs or dividers, especially in an urban attack. This tactic takes knowledge and practice. A curb or divider must be struck at an angle between 30 and 45 degrees. This is a narrow angle, but it can be done. Striking the curb at less than 30 degrees can cause the driver to lose control of the steering wheel. At more than 45 degrees, there's a possibility of blowing the tires. Done correctly, there's no great problem even with high curves. But be aware of the terrain, holes, soft dirt, and other obstructions. Do not drive around the roadblock, since you're exposed to the total firepower of the attackers at the worst possible angles, as illustrated in this simulated ambush exercise. Don't sideswipe the attacking car in an effort to shove it off the road. The two cars could lock together. This would give the terrorists a good shot at you. Drive straight through the impact point. Surprise, shock, confuse the terrorists so they cannot react. Attack and get out of there as quickly as possible. Keep on that accelerator. Don't kill the engine. Even with considerable front-end damage, your vehicle will run, but keep the engine running. Normally, do not ram a blocking vehicle broadside. From this angle, the vehicles are locked together, and you face the grave danger of being immobilized permanently. Naturally, the ramming tactic is impractical if a bus, a cement truck, or a steamroller is the blocking instrument. Along with the offensive tactics, there are some simple but vital rules that should be followed. Keep your seat belt fastened until you're ready to leave your vehicle. This is most important in ramming situations and for your own general safety in normal driving. Keep all doors locked at all times. All windows should be kept rolled up. Use the air conditioning or open the windows no more than an inch for air circulation. With the windows up, an attacker cannot reach into the vehicle. Plus, it helps to prevent objects such as rocks, grenades, and Molotov cocktails being thrown directly into the car. However, there is no guarantee that the window will stop all thrown objects. Keep a full tank. If pursued by attackers, running out of gas could be fatal. Be equipped with functional flat mirrors and use them. Be aware of movements to your rear. Make this a reflexive action. Drive a good 2 or 3 blocks ahead. Be cognizant of possible threats. Parked vehicles, staged accidents, road construction. Be alert to any vehicles attempting to pass you, including motorcycles. Especially be wary of a cycle with a rear rider. Keep the car radio turned down in the front seat. It may be distracting to the driver. A siren system can be very effective in urban areas, especially against untrained or unsophisticated attackers. The horn can be an option, but naturally it's not as effective shock-wise as an electronic siren. Do not resort to high speed in a chase situation. There's too much chance of losing control of your vehicle. Use speed only on clear straightaways to gain more time to make turns and other evasive maneuvers. In a pursuit situation, any passengers, if unarmed, should duck down as low as possible to reduce target area and make maximum use of cover. Normally, a mile from an urban ambush site offers a degree of safety. Break off visual contact as soon as possible so that you are not a target for long-range fire. In a night confrontation, use your high beams for better viewing and to blind your attackers. As in a daylight attack, pick your best point of impact and ram straight through it. Once through, break visual contact as soon as possible. The best defense is merely to avoid the ambush situation in the first place. Several ways of doing this are: take different routes to your destination. And avoid the habit of establishing a predictable behavior pattern. Vary your schedule. Sometimes your best way home will be the long way. Being a few minutes early or late is better than not arriving at all. In summary, know your vehicle. Remember, your car is a weapon, a very deadly weapon. In an ambush, your chance for survival may be decided in the few seconds you have to make a decision and to initiate a course of action. Therefore, whenever you're driving, keep in your mind various ambush situations and your reactions. Know what you'll do and do it. Don't be kidnapped or be killed because of panic, or worse, indecision. Get as much hands-on driving training as possible, and prepare yourself psychologically to react. Now let's review the basic steps of breaking a roadblock ambush by ramming. When confronted by an ambush roadblock, brake slowly and shift into low. Then brake suddenly. This sudden stop confuses the attackers. Quickly assess the situation and decide on your reaction. If you're going to ram, determine the best impact point. Accelerate. Build momentum as you strike straight through the ambush vehicle. Do not brake. Do not ease up on the accelerator. Do not swerve. Ram straight through. The attackers, not you, will be shot and injured. Once through the roadblock, break visual contact with the attackers as soon as possible. The offensive driving tactics you've observed are not 100% fail-safe. There is no written guarantee of success. Bad timing, a bad ramming angle, vehicle mechanical failure. These could all result in an entanglement or a stall. Remember, unpleasant as it may seem, one option may have to be surrender. Still, with proper mental conditioning, correct tactical procedures, and bold, decisive action, the odds for survival are excellent. It's up to you. You must believe it can happen and prepare yourself mentally to react. To counterattack for your survival.
So that narrator, yeah, he shows up a lot. I don't know his name, but I think he does narration for a series of films for restaurants in the hospitality industry. So he did voiceover work for Mr. Dish Machine Operator and Short Order Cookery. Those are what I remember. Anyhow, here we are. We're back. Rewinding. So, yeah. That film wasn't for police officers. It was for people like chauffeurs or people that were driving, dealing with terrorists. I love films like this. I really am a big fan of that. Films that are of a definite time and a place. Basically, I have another film about how to survive a hostage situation, and it has terrorists in it as well. And then I have some from the Navy? No, Air Force. Air Force on terrorism, circa the late 70s, early 80s. You know, these are little time capsules. That's why I collect them, and that's why I show them. If you're not familiar with AV Geeks, we collect old educational films and old industrial films, like actually on film. These aren't files. These aren't DVDs. These aren't VHS tapes. These are the real deal. And we have probably close to 25,000, maybe over 25,000. It depends on how you count it, because I have reels of film, and then I have titles of film. And when you start getting collections from labs, then you get like a can that has has A, B roll, and it has all these different. So I don't know. How do you count it? I don't know. So 25,000 sounds good. It sounds like a good round number. It's probably more than that, because there's some collections we haven't completely gone through yet. And so that's why we do things like this, is we watch these films, and we watch them live, and I stream them using new technology, like these film scanners, and then different boxes that digitize and stream it to the internet. I use, if you want to know, so this is a Blackmagic scanner. It gets the HDMI put into this Hopog digitizing box, which converts it to MPEG-4, a 264 stream. Then I have software, open broadcast software, which is pretty resilient and has a lot of features. It's not, you could probably spend money and do a lot more, but it's great. Then that gets streamed to RealStream.io, which streams it to Facebook, streams it to YouTube, and streams it to Twitch. And I should look and see, is there anybody on Twitch? No. According to this, there's nobody on Twitch. Twitch is that, for all you people who don't know, is where people go to watch people play video games for the most part. And I watched Twitch for about a month just to see what the deal was. And it's people playing video games and talking about how they're playing them, or having competitions. And then it's like weird stuff where people are talking about video games. We're talking about fan culture, like comics and movies, anime. And then there was this whole section where it had these cute young girls wearing bikinis, like just talking, and then eating food. And then they would say, hey, if you like what I do, visit my Patreon page. So that's what I'm saying. Visit my Patreon page. I'm not going to wear a bikini, but here is an opportunity to support the AV Geeks. The money that we take on this, we spend on things like this new digitizing box, the Hopog box, that has this weird kind of glow to it, makes it look like it's from the future. But the software makes it seem like it's from 1990. And so we spend it on that, and then we've been getting back on eBay and finding stuff. And there's a film that the last film of the evening, I will bust this one out because it's pretty great. I've been not looking for anything on eBay. I've just been seeing what nobody else is bidding on, and there's a lot of crazy stuff out there. This is kind of why I like collecting the weird stuff that nobody else likes, because I find a lot of really fascinating things that I had no idea what they were, why they exist. What is this? All right, well, we tried this one. This one didn't work, so we're not going to do that one. Oh, that's a problem. All right. There's another one. That's what it's going to be. An old man walking around his house, talking to himself about stupid stuff. Let's see. So we saw how to buy groceries. This one, I don't know what this is, so we're going to watch it. It's called 10 Times Empty. I got this from Queens College. Queens College, a couple of months ago, posted and said, hey, we have thousands of, or hundreds of films that we want to get rid of. Does anybody want them? And I got all these emails, people saying like, oh my God, Skip, you have to do this. So I contacted the person there, the contact person, and I said, either I will take everything, or let people pick through what they want, and I'll take whatever's left. And that's what I got. And I was super excited. There was lots of great stuff in there, including something I will probably do a special on in the future, which is I have a film called Comparative Test Between Infant child and chimpanzee, where they basically raised a chimpanzee as a child along with a baby, a human baby. And what I had was like part 3 or something like that. Well, this has all the parts. In this collection, I got everything else. And it is phenomenal, scientific, and wildly irresponsible. It is really, it's crazy and it's sad, of course, because the chimp, was all messed up after that. The kid, I think, I'll talk more about it when we get closer, when we do that event in the future. Maybe we'll do a thing all about monkeys or chimps or apes. That's a future event. So anyways, this next film is not one of the chimp films. I don't even know what this film is about. It's 10 Times Empty, so I have no idea what it is. If you could look it up, you will probably know, but I have no idea. So I'm going to swap over and we'll do a quick file name. Capture lots of dust. All right. Here we go. 10 Times Empty.
It's much too warm to be watching dancing, but it's better than arithmetic. The girls are practicing the susta, one of the special dances of our island Simi. This is a dress rehearsal for the celebrations of our Greek National Day. The word Simi means monkey. There are no monkeys here, although sometimes I think we almost have to be like monkeys to climb these steps. Soon, our very first road will be ready. That's a real road, for cars. Simi has no cars yet. That's why I've never seen one. Nor a bus, nor a train, except on television. But boats, that's different. Nearly everyone here lives from the sea. In 4 months' time, when I'm 12, I want to leave school and be a fisherman like my father. I'm sure that's what he wants, because our family have always been fishermen. Μπορώ να έρθω σήμερα μαζί σου στο ψάρεμα? Ναι. It's our custom that one day my brothers and I will be given Baba's boat. He has been teaching me about fishing, how to mend nets, where to set them, the ways of the sea, the tides and the winds. But Uncle Nicolas and Papa are unhappy as they're catching less and less. There aren't enough fish these days, and when you do get them, you don't make enough money. Some say there are too many fishermen. Papa says pollution of the sea might be the reason. Me, I don't know. If fishing is finished, Papa says it's like history repeating itself. You see, Simi was once famous for sponges. Then they ran out. The boat builders, the sponge divers, the merchants, they left Simi, and the boat building died. My grandfather tells me that Simi was the richest island of the Dodecanese in those days. We built the best boats, had the finest houses, shops and town square, and a drama theatre, but that's all past now. All of our goods come to us by sea, and most of our food too. The boats, we call them gaigi, come in full, but they go out empty. We have nothing to send away. There aren't any factories here, and we don't make anything to sell to other countries. Not all of our meat is brought in. There are a few little farms in the valley above Pedi. The rest of the island is barren and rocky. Still, they did manage to grow all sorts of things before. Perhaps it's too difficult now, or people just aren't interested anymore. Mama says some things might be changing here, but there's one thing that won't ever change, and that is the women of Simi. They will never sit outside at the cafes and never smoke in public. She's probably right. It's always been that way. That's for the men, she says. When the bells toll slowly, the whole town knows someone has died. The funeral starts from the house and passes into the streets. The coffin is left open so that we all get a chance to say our last goodbye. After a death, it's custom for the women of the family to wear black for at least 3 years, and sometimes for the rest of their lives. Our church teaches us that the dead go to a special waiting place until God chooses who will have life forever. We have many priests here in Simi. That's because we all go to church. Father Tsingos has the Church of Saint Evangelismos around the bay at Yalos. Like us, Father Tsingos has a large family, but he's lucky. Priests are paid by the government, so he doesn't have to worry too much about money. All his sons have left Simi to go and work in Australia, except Alexandros. He has a good job in the carpenter's shop, so he won't leave. There's a loudspeaker on the town hall roof, and the mayor often makes announcements to us about town affairs. You know, sometimes it doesn't rain here for 9 months. and the mayor is trying to get water piped to our houses from the new dam. Many people are short of money, and there's not much work here, but at least everyone has a house. So you can ask the town council for one of the government loans to improve your house. Then you can have tourists to stay. Our mayor is Mr. Angelaidis. He is Simi's main way of keeping in contact with the government in Athens. The donkeys spend their whole lives carrying goods, especially to Horio, the upper part of the town. They even know the way better than their masters. Octopus and squid are great to eat, but they're very tough. So we beat them to make their flesh nice and tender. Then, to make them even softer, we rub them on the key until the milky fluid comes out. When Papa has a good catch, he sells it in front of the old customs house. After bad catches, he keeps saying, if only some fishermen hadn't used dynamite a few years ago, we might have had more fish now. Mr. Kyriakos is one of my father's best customers. He buys for his tourist restaurant. He always wants lobsters because all the tourists like them. But we hardly ever catch lobsters. Every summer, more tourists come. I like watching them. They're quite different from us. They come on the boat each day to visit our island for a few hours only. And at 3 o'clock, they go away again. It's all over. The policemen on our island are not like the ones I see on television. There, the police are always chasing gangsters with guns, fast cars, and helicopters. Nothing exciting like that ever happens here. There are never any bank robberies. Well, I suppose we don't really have any banks. Anyway, there's no fear of any stealing from shops or houses. All Simi women are very proud of their dowry. That's their family heirlooms. Mama's the same. She never uses them, though. They've been passed down the family, mother to daughter, for hundreds of years. We've got one sister, Ranitsa. She'll get the house and all these copper things for her dowry when she gets married. My brothers and I will be okay, because we live in our wives' houses. Poor cousin Maria, she's got 3 sisters, so she'll only have half a house when she marries. Through the week, we have religious studies at school, and on Sunday, the whole school goes to church. We all go to the same church, as we're all the same religion. That's Greek Orthodox. There are over 100 chapels or churches on our island, and there's only 3,000 people now. In our church, there are a lot of feast days. We celebrate each one with a procession of banners and icones. On the feast of St. Haralambos, we show our respect by kissing the silver iguana. It's got some of St. Haralambos' bones inside. The Evangelio is the golden book of the story of our religion. It's written in the Old Greek, just as our services are spoken in the Old Greek. Everyone loves the real feast after the service. We always have Greek donuts, and the grown-ups have wine too. My great-grandma and my grandmother live at the very top of the hills behind the village, so we only come up to see them about once a week. Great-grandma is 85. Her family have been farmers for as many years as Baba's family have been fishermen. Both grandmothers still work on the land every day. Mama says, don't be a farmer. In Simi, it's even harder than fishing. I think she would really like me and my brothers to be doctors or teachers. But there's only one doctor here, and very few teachers, so we couldn't stay in Simi. Near the house, Grandma collects honey from her bees and keeps goats, especially while they have young ones. But soon, the grass will get all burnt up in the long, dry summer, and the goats will have to be herded into the mountains to find grazing. Everyone here has said goodbye to at least one of their loved ones. Some go forever, to America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, nearly everywhere in the world. Many of the men go to Athens to work on the big boats as crew. Well over half of Simi's men are away, working on the ships. Their wives and families wait and wait. Sometimes the men are away for a year or more. Of course, they send money back, but it's not the same as having your father at home. Once, there were 10 times more people living here, but now their houses are empty. Some just fell into ruins when people didn't return. Others were bombed in the last World War. To me, they look just like little sad faces. It's National Day, the biggest day of our year. We became part of Greece again in 1945. Our islands had been ruled by foreigners, longer than any other part of Greece. In the Second World War, it was the Germans, then the British. Before that, there was 31 years of Italian occupation. And even before that, it was the Turks, and they ruled all of Greece. Throughout that time, we kept our Greek customs, traditions, and religion alive. It was very difficult in those years. That's why, in Simi, the whole town honors and will never forget National Day. For weeks, it's been bad fishing for Baba and Uncle Nicholas and all the other men. Baba is worrying more and more about how little we're catching. I don't like it. It's a bad sign for me being a fisherman. There's an old Greek saying, the plate of a fisherman is 10 times empty and 1 time full. It means that 9 times out of 10, when a fisherman pulls the nets in, they're empty. It doesn't seem right. Will I have to go away? Ah, we have caught some today, but it's only enough to feed ourselves. There'll be nothing left for the market. Tomorrow will be better, Baba. Or the day after tomorrow.
Okay. Kind of depressing. I like somebody commented that, the film crew wanted to go to Greece on holiday, and so they turned it into a business expense. Don't be, that's I've heard stories of that. It's like, oh, we wanted to shoot a movie in Paris, and then so we wrote it in the script. That's pretty great. It's Australian, and 10 times 9. I mean, that's what the great thing is. That you can't really tell the film by its title, like what it's going to be. And I could cheat, which I did. After we started watching it, and started saying like, oh, what is this? And then I got to see that it was an Australian film. And what the name of the island was in the Mediterranean, Simi. 100 churches for 3,000 people. It's phenomenal. That's really nuts. I'm going to get some tape. I will be right back. I'll let you meditatively watch the film rewind. Okay, so what have we watched so far? Huh. Is that reversed? Am I freaking out? I'm approaching it. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Let's see. How to buy groceries. That's pretty great. Vehicle counter attack, which was also fun. We tried to watch a couple of films, and while we're rewinding, I'll geek out a little bit more. So the problem that I ran into with one of the films is that there's this gap right here. So when I'm trying to lock down the lockdown, it's not catching. There's not enough friction here to keep it in place. So when it tried to tense up, it just basically spun. So for me to show this, I'd have to put in another reel. But we don't have time for that. What time is it? All right. How long is this? So some of you that collect film, or at least familiar with it, some film reels will have an actual measure. I don't know if you can see it. There's like little graduated increments here that show how many feet are on a reel. So this has roughly 1,100 feet, which is just a little more than, a little less than 30 minutes. So we're getting close to that time. So this will probably be the next film that we'll show. Again, this is a thing that I got on eBay, and it was just basically looking to see what films people weren't bidding on, and then I just put, I don't know, some lowball bids on them, and sometimes I get something, sometimes I don't. This film is called When the Chips Are Down. When the Chips Are Down. Anybody want to hazard a guess what When the Chips Are Down is about? Chips are down. You can write a comment and we'll see if you're right. When the chips are down, as I set up this next film, to be scanned. And we're actually scanning while we're watching them live. So they're for some films they will make it online on YouTube or the Internet Archive or other places at some point with color correction, because one of the great things about the software that captures this is that it's also the industry software for color correction. So I can actually bring back the color really, really well. Even though you see it's beet red, we're able to bring back a lot of it and make the greens green again, and the blues blue again, etc. All right, when the chips are down. I was excited to get this. Excited because, it's not like, there's certain genres of films that I know, and this just isn't one that, I think about. And certainly the way that they did it, I'm interested in. Because again, it's of a time. It's from the 70s. I think that's right. I haven't really watched it. Again, I had an intern transfer it, and I kind of looked over her shoulder, but I didn't really watch it. So I'm gonna watch it. So when the chips are down, is this about potato chips? Is it about gambling? Is it about... It's about me getting some tape. Hold on with that. Alright, let's try it now. Nope. I should say, as an advertisement, there is an upcoming seminar slash festival. It's not really a film festival. It's more of a encounter group type of thing. It's called the Bastard Film Encounter. It is taking place. We hosted it in Raleigh for 3 times over a 5-year period, 6-year period, and it's now moved to Baltimore. And this is an opportunity to see films that are in video that maybe you're not supposed to see, or are hard to figure out, or hard to watch, or hard to, you know, they're just kind of people don't want to, people who made them don't want to identify with them anymore. And so I'll be there, and it's in mid to late April. So if you go to bastardfilmencounter.com, there's information about how to register. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of it's a closed-knit community of a bunch of collectors like myself and academics who are also interested in these very odd films. So, okay, when the chips are down, here we go. Enjoy.
All right, men, keep an eye on them now. We don't want them getting in our way. Hey, this is Bob, ready with your National Guard Hope. And I want to tell you that the story of today's Army and Air National Guard is something all Americans can be proud of. Okay, men, they're getting too close. Let them have it. Look at them run. Get in our way, will they? That'll teach them. Is the coast clear? All right. Thank you, man. Thank you. Hold it. Hold it, man. Hold it. They're not really running away, folks. They're just moving into position for some sharpshooting. At the rate they're moving, they'll be there in no time. These M42s can move along at 40 miles per hour, and that's really hustling for babies this size. You know, the story of any military organization is found in its men, in its machines, and in its missions. These men are Virginia Army National Guardsmen, and that's a radio-controlled aerial target, better known to these guys as an RCAT. Their mission is to shoot it down. Once this little bird gets airborne, it's up to the RCAT controller to keep it flying on its prescribed course. You might say he's one pilot who flies with both feet on the ground. When these guys open up on that RCAT, they have the capability of pumping out 120 rounds per minute from each tube or barrel. Man, That's 240 rounds per minute. Glad they're on our side. Incidentally, the weapon I've been referring to is the M42 Duster. Its heyday was a generation ago during World War II when it dusted enemy aircraft from the skies. After World War II, the Army gave the entire Duster system to the Army National Guard. The Guardsmen took the weapon, trained on it, and became professionally competent with it. Watch them go after this Archival. See what I mean? That's what I call coming in for a soft landing. Makes things a little softer in our pocketbooks, too. If you've been thinking that Guardsmen face a paper enemy in the field on these training exercises, don't say it out loud. The Guard uses its own aggressors right from its own ranks to oppose the good guys on field exercises like this one at Camp Grayling, Michigan. Coordination is a key factor in any exercise. These Guardsmen are checking the lay of the terrain prior to the exercise. Battle planning strategy is just as important to the bad guys as it is to the heroes. These men are jumping off on an attack which will test the reaction and effectiveness of elements of the 107th Armored Cavalry Regiment of the Ohio Army National Guard. The guerrillas have plenty going for them, as you can see. These scenes are typical of the realistic combat conditions Guardsmen undergo at training sites throughout the United States as well as overseas. Things could get a little hot around here. Gotta hand it to him, though. He really knows how to use that oversized cigarette lighter. I don't know about you, but as for me, I'm not too sure, but I'd just as soon be on the aggressor side in this battle. I'm just kidding. It's mighty comforting to know the bad guys are really good guys in this case. They're all part of the National Guard team. It's red, white, and blue as Old Glory herself. Now, if heavier reinforcements were needed, the Guard has them too. This honest John rocket can deliver a mighty punch if needed. Manning these powerful rockets takes a lot of training, believe me. But these Guardsmen are well-trained and well-prepared. The Army National Guard is composed of many different type units, including airborne and special forces. Organizations that demand the best in courage and stamina. These West Virginia Army Guardsmen are preparing to board a West Virginia Air Guard plane for a challenging night operation. Because of the nature of their military responsibilities, National Guardsmen don't accept the words professionalism and readiness as mere slogans. That guy reminds me of Crosby trying to get to the bank with all his loot. There's no room for the timid in an outfit like this. No, sir. And the important thing to remember is that Guardsmen have accepted their responsibilities readily. They're all volunteers. Men who have stood up, ready to be counted if their country needs them. By their oath, they're pledged irrevocably to safeguard the nation and its institutions against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Any Guardsman who is worthy of the name accepts this as a fact of service. Guardsmen are citizen soldiers, and their purpose is the American purpose. For more than 300 years now, theirs has been an unbroken record of duty accomplished, of lives saved, of property secured, and of order in the face of potential chaos. Because of the close ties of the Army and the Air National Guard, they are working together continuously. These Rhode Island Army Guardsmen, for example, are practicing an infiltration operation with the help of their Rhode Island Air Guard buddies. The Air Guard has 4 of these Air Commando units, 2 of which are equipped with this HU-16 amphibian aircraft. In situations where commando units require either a land or sea rendezvous or both, this sturdy flying boat can maneuver about and land almost anywhere with ease. Guardsmen are trained to operate under all climatic conditions over all types of terrain. Because the Guard is dispersed in communities throughout the United States, you'll find that many men already are skilled in many of their military assignments before they ever raise their hand to take the oath as a member of the Guard. And that saves dollars for the taxpayers. natural wild surroundings of the West Yellowstone area set the scene for these Montana Special Forces guardsmen as they worked their way to the top of this barren outcropping. Ordinarily, this cliff would be considered a dangerous obstacle, but danger is just another word to these guys. They figured that the best way around is over the side. Some people call this a gung-ho gravitational go-mobile. Let's watch this fellow. Well, now that wasn't bad. However, if you'd rather take the express route, man, that's what I'd call moving. These guys are on the move, too. Graceful movements, cat-like responses, superb balance and control. That's what it takes for a ballet like this. Yet those are the talents of these Montanans that contribute to their capabilities as guardsmen. They're a proud bunch, and they've got a right to be. Now, it's pretty nice to get paid for this type of thing, but it's training with a purpose. They're actually on a mission to ambush a mythical enemy outpost. Once they reach the area of operations, a brief planning session is all that's needed to finalize the plan of attack. Strict silence becomes the order of the day as the guardsmen close in on their objective. They know the outpost is somewhere close. Then, without warning, they spot the enemy just a few yards away. Because silence is imperative in a situation like this, the usual weapons are not employed. The quiet deadliness of a swift arrow does a much better job. Don't be alarmed. It was just a dummy. From the deep snows of Montana to the tropical beauty of Hawaii. That gives you some idea of the Guard's scope of geographical operations. They reach into Alaska and Puerto Rico, too. These Hawaii Guardsmen are on a routine patrol in an exercise that will eventually bring aerial support from mainland Air Guard units. A last-minute check of plans is made before the troops move out for the objective. You know, the Guard is composed of many veterans of World War II, of Korea, and even Vietnam. Their background and know-how provides a measurement of leadership that should serve as comfort to any parent whose son has joined the Guard. These veteran Guardsmen know the ropes. They've had battle experience. They've been leading men for years, and they know their business, including the techniques of camouflage. See anything? Well, watch. You hear a lot about mortar fire in Vietnam. Well, this is what a mortar looks like. Guardsmen are trained on them as well as every other fire system with which they're armed. Here's a grenade launcher. It's an accurate little weapon. Just watch. Bullseye. And if you really want to clobber a target, grab one of these 106mm recoilless rifles. These Guardsmen operate this weapon with perfection. Bullseye again. Really packs a wallop, doesn't it? If anyone thinks it's all sunshine and flowers in Hawaii, just look at this. This is the Air Guard's radar station atop Mount Koala. Nestled in virgin forest and frequently invaded by wild pigs, this outpost, 4,000 feet high, is shrouded in fog much of the time. That doesn't bother these Hawaiians, however. That radar sweeps through that fog and reaches miles in all directions of the Pacific in surveillance against a possible enemy attack. Nearby, other Guardsmen receive and interpret the information collected by the radar atop of the mountain. Each Guardsman is a specialist, and each knows his responsibility, like this fellow riding backwards on a transparent wall. If you want some fun, try that sometime. This man has located some Air Guard aerial tankers and jet fighters who are flying from the mainland. They're about 200 miles out, and the radar shows that they're about to rendezvous for the fighter refueling. Then they will continue to Hawaii, where they will take part in exercises with the active Army and with the Army Guard. The Air Guard has 5 air refueling units equipped with the KC-97 aircraft. With 4 reciprocating engines and 2 jet engines, these birds really get out and move. These tankers, from the Illinois, Ohio, and Wisconsin Air Guard, provide the fuel for the jet fighters making the deployment. They're F-84s from the Ohio Air National Guard. Imagine meeting a couple of thousand miles over the ocean to gas up. It's a bit different from pulling into the corner service station. This refueling capability within the Guard makes it possible for the Guard's fighter units to deploy anywhere in the world in a matter of hours. These air guardsmen are operationally ready too, and that means that they're ready for combat the minute they get where they're going. After landing at Hickam Air Force Base, the Guardsmen prepare to launch a mission to the island of Hawaii. They get a thorough briefing on their mission and pinpoint the target areas. These are your citizen airmen. These air crews meet the same standards as the active Air Force air crews do. They do not ask, nor do they receive any credit for performing their roles as part-time airmen. Most of these men are successful businessmen in their home communities. And the National Guard believes that it is highly unlikely that a citizen soldier or citizen airman would demonstrate qualities as a soldier or airman that he does not possess as a citizen. This operation was known as Tropic Lightning. It's a good example of the support the Guard provides to active military service. These fighters were working with Army ground troops. As a part of their training for combat, they participate in operations in which close air support is demonstrated. Because the Air Guard is able to support these missions, the Air Force can turn its attention to higher priority missions. Trained for all combat tactics, these fighter pilots carry out airstrikes with speed and efficiency. Each sortie is planned and coordinated with precision. The Guard works closely with other services, too. These RF-84s of the Alabama Air Guard are taking off on a photo reconnaissance mission over Puerto Rico in exercise Clove Hitch, while another plane has just returned with a load of film for immediate processing. Clove Hitch was a massive operation in the Caribbean involving all the services. Air Guard jet fighters, reconnaissance aircraft, and aerial tankers joined these Navy men from the aircraft carrier Forrestal, proving once again that teamwork among the services provides the background for effective defense whenever and wherever needed. Marines were participants, too. They came ashore by sea and air. Here they are engaging in an air assault after being dispatched from ships at sea to reinforce infantry elements ashore. All Guardsmen swear allegiance to the state and to the nation. For that reason, they train not only for their federal mission, but for their state mission as well. These guardsmen are playing the part of rioters in this training session. In the event police forces are overwhelmed, the National Guard is the only force immediately available to a community for the distasteful assignment of quelling civil disorder. But the Guard has had to face the real thing on many occasions lately. In most cases, folks have recognized the unpleasantness of the duty, and they've accepted the Guard as a force for the preservation of law and order. Whether you're young or old, however, facing a shouting mob or a lurking sniper calls for the highest degree of discipline. This is what the Guardsmen faced in Cicero, Illinois, when demonstrators marched. These are scenes from the Watts riot, where 2 divisions of Guardsmen were called to duty. The usual fire damage and destruction followed us in each riot, while patrolling Guardsmen surveyed troubled streets searching for snipers. Watch closely now. This is a spectacular shot of a fireman just as he's hit by sniper fire. It's a dangerous, frightening duty, but Guardsmen face up to this responsibility as they face up to all others. Because of the increased intensity of violence in our cities, the Guard has accelerated its riot control training. This was Detroit, the highest level of damage and violence ever experienced in an American city. Fires and lots of ruined personal property, snipers, looting, and more destruction. The protection of personal property always has its problems, especially when the trouble spreads like quicksilver over an area plagued by hidden dangers. 2 Guardsmen were assigned to every fire truck to protect the firemen from sniper fire. They were mighty busy, on duty for long hours with little rest, as they helped the weary firefighters battle more than 800 fires. Whenever a flood, tornado, or other disaster strikes a community, the Guard is usually there. This flood brought out the Guard in Kansas, where the Guardsmen played an important role in rescuing the stranded and protecting property. Guardsmen were on the scene immediately, aiding those who suffered in the tragedy in whatever way they could. Ever wonder who fills those sandbags that line the shores of an angry river? Ever wonder how those sandbags get on the riverbank? You're looking at the answer to both questions. Those bags weigh 40 to 50 pounds each. Every means is used to reach the stricken who need help. Trucks slowly search out victims. Guard helicopters do their share to assist in rescuing persons stranded in remote areas. Few tragedies strike with more fury than a howling tornado. This one leveled half of Oak Lawn, Illinois. 50 lives were lost during this freak of nature. Guardsmen were on the job immediately, searching debris, helping out the wounded, assisting firemen fighting fires, and restoring power and communications. This school was all but demolished. Shattered ruins offer mute resistance to the presence of patrolling Guardsmen, alert to the possibility of looters. Because the Guard plays a vital role in providing medical assistance in these disasters, nurses are a necessary part of both the Army and Air National Guard. The Air Guard flies many aeromedical missions for the Air Force, and its aeromedical personnel have comforted many victims of the Vietnam War. Assisted by the medics, these nurses fly missions around the world. They work around the clock when necessary to comfort the sick, disabled, and wounded. This specialist helps the nurse check oxygen equipment aboard this C-97. If you really want to find out how terrific these people are, just ask some of the boys who've been wounded in Vietnam. This is Captain Betty Aiken of the Tennessee Air National Guard. She's made more than 23 trips to Vietnam. Here she administers aid to an air-evacuated patient. Air Guard nurses receive specialized training so they can meet in-flight emergencies.
I understand you have a pretty bad back injury. Have you ever flown before?
Yeah, with good-looking nurses like that around, who wants to be healthy?
What they need are more beautiful nurses like me.
Yeah, we save your kind for us taxpayers. Much has been said and written concerning the tradition and heritage of the National Guard. Throughout its long history, the Guard has always attracted men of the highest caliber, many of whom gone on to become great leaders and respected figures of prominence in the world. For example, George Washington, one of our early militiamen. Others make an impressive list. Here are just a few. Abraham Lincoln. Yes, sir. Old Honest Abe, our 16th president. He started with the militia in 1832 and became a captain with the 4th Regiment of the Illinois Volunteers. Harry S. Truman, our 33rd president, served as a World War I artillery officer commanding Battery D of the 135th Field Artillery, Missouri National Guard. Charles A. Lindbergh, hero of the aviation world, who won fame with the first solo flight over the Atlantic Ocean in 1927. Lindy's military career began in the 110th Observation Squadron, Missouri National Guard. He was granted leave to make his flight. General Earl G. Wheeler, the top military man in the United States as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, began his military service as a member of the District of Columbia Army National Guard. General Curtis LeMay, former Chief of Staff of the Air Force, he started his illustrious career in the Ohio Army National Guard as an artilleryman. Brigadier General Charles W. Sweeney, Deputy Chief of Staff for Air, Massachusetts Air National Guard. He piloted the B-29 that dropped the second atomic bomb on Japan. Its target, Nagasaki. Brigadier General Joseph J. Foss, South Dakota Air National Guard, former governor of that state, a top ace who won the Medal of Honor in World War II. Captain Larry B. Mason, a veteran of Vietnam who joined the Michigan Air National Guard, awarded the Air Force Cross for extraordinary heroism in Vietnam. While attacking an enemy target, his B-57 tactical jet bomber was hit repeatedly. With a wounded navigator aboard, one engine shut down and the other one on fire, approximately 30 square feet of surface area missing from the right wing, and most of the electrical system knocked out, this young pilot nursed his plane to a safe landing in friendly territory. The Guard also numbers prominent figures in the fields of entertainment and sports among those in its ranks. Here is Bobby Rydell, popular singing and recording star, seen here performing at the Caribe Hilton in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Bobby is a specialist 4th class in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. Bob Lilly, 6 feet 5 inches, 255 pounds. All-pro defensive tackle of the Dallas Cowboys of the National Football League. Airman in the Texas Air National Guard. Bob Hayes, teammate of Lilly's with the Cowboys. All-pro offensive flanker. Member of the Texas Army National Guard. He's known as the world's fastest unit, and you can see why. Gary Anderson, lieutenant in the California Army National Guard. His specialty, shooting. He's the guy who set 3 new records in winning the World's Rifle Championship at Cairo in 1962. Won 2 gold medals in the 1963 Pan Am Games. Set a new world record and picked up a gold medal in the Olympics at Japan in 1964 and won 7 gold medals during 1966, firing in International Shooting Union-sponsored events. Gary, by the way, is studying for the ministry. If you think the sky's the limit for ex-guardsmen, you're absolutely right. And here are some of the men who can prove it. Russell L. Schweikart, better known as Rusty, former member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard and the first guardsman to be selected for astronaut training directly from the Guard. You're watching him at work in a zero-gravity situation, ironing out bugs so future space flights can be as safe as possible. If you haven't spotted him yet, he's the guy with the red hair. Donald K. Deke Slayton, one of the original 7 astronauts. At one time in his career was a member of the Minnesota Air National Guard. Deke has taken over the administrative responsibilities pertaining to all astronauts in NASA's program. Charles Conrad Jr., astronaut who has orbited the Earth on 2 occasions and is raring to go again. He's a former member of the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. That's just a few. There are many others. Just seen, however, guardsmen represent a cross-section of the community. In reality, the Guard is the community. That's why it's an organization you can count on. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Earl Wheeler, once characterized the Guard by saying, "From my long association with the National Guard, I've arrived at 2 conclusions. First, as a military organization, it is consistently better than the material with which it is equipped. Second, when the chips are down, the Guard surmounts whatever obstacles confront it and gets the job done. Well, the Guard's been that way for more than 330 years now. That's right, 330 years. Its past has been one of glory and accomplishment. But like that Saturn rocket, it has a long way to go. It'll reach higher and higher achievements in the future. This, then, is really not the end. It's just a beginning.
So I'm trying to find that SMPTE frame, that SMPTE test frame. Almost there. There it is. So with this film, with this thing, you can advance one at a time. Need to find it. Ah, yes, there it is. There it is. I love it. SMPTE, Society of Motion Picture Television Engineers. This is a frame. You could use this for focus. You could use this for making sure that when you're printing the film that it's being clearly printed. There's a lot of options here, but that's the type of stuff that exists during the countdowns or at the end of a film. So yeah, all right, it's 10 o'clock. Wow, we timed that just right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for all your comments and some of your suggestions. Unfortunately, I didn't have some of the films that were brought up, but that doesn't mean that I won't find them at some point. I'll just put it out in the universe and somehow it will magically appear. Again, if you liked what you saw, one way to support AV Geeks is to go to Patreon and make a small donation. We're not a nonprofit, but we take that money and we continue doing what we like to do, which is we try to do these events. We try to put more stuff on YouTube so people can watch it and comment on it and use it, stuff like that. And you know, buying stuff, paying for shipping for. Basically, I got 200 films from Queens College, and so I had to pay for all that shipping, all these giant boxes that showed up on my porch. And so, you know, that's stuff that you're helping, you Patreon supporters out there. Thank you so much for supporting us. At the very least, just watch our stuff and tell people about it, what we do. And if you're in Raleigh area, come see a show. We do screenings at the Hunt Library, at the Science Museum. We do screenings at King's, and then also at the Alamo Draft House, which I brought to Raleigh. I'm doing something on the 18th called Girl Power. It's in conjunction with International Women's History Month, and also the Alamo is doing Kick-Ass Women. And so I decided to show films with kick-ass girls, or films that are designed to empower, or at least are on the surface designed to empower, but are actually ads for milk and hair products. Yeah, if you're in the area, come check it out. Say hi. I will probably at some point this year start traveling again and might maybe start doing tours in certain areas. I don't know. Who knows what 2019 is going to hold. If you like this experience of having the scanner, you know, seeing a little bit of the sprockets and seeing a little bit of the frame line and all that stuff, let me know. If you hated it and you wanted me to go back to that older piece of equipment, let me know that too. It's not that I will listen to you one way or the other, but I take stuff like that into consideration. I want it to be a positive viewing experience. The next screening is on April 14th. What will I show? I don't know. It might be monkeys and bunnies. I might show films with monkeys or apes and bunnies or bunny facsimiles. That's the first idea that popped in my head, and it might be a horrible idea, so maybe I won't be able to find enough films that satisfy that. But thanks again, everybody, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Patreon, etc. All right. Take care. Have a good March. Bye-bye.